Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone, as well as the men that taught them, and peace and blessings unto the 144,000, as well as the rest of the elect. This is Brother Tazapai here with you with another lunch special. And today we're going to be serving up some double honors, all right? And, here at Great Millstone, we do believe in giving double honors, as the scripture has said, to our apostles that taught us and raised us up in the spirit, all right, and that rule well the body of Yahushua, all right? So we give double honors, and I just want to do this lesson to put this out there. Double honor is not just a cadence that you put at the beginning or at the end of your video, all right? The same way that love is not something that is just imagined or some abstract idea. Love is concrete, and love has to be shown. It's the same with honor, all right? You can't say you honor someone and your actions doesn't prove it, all right? So, and what I'm saying, all right, if you're saying double honors to the apostles, you have to back that up with actions, all right? As double honors is not through a video. Double honors is actually being honorable and showing honor, all right? So for me to be an honorable man, I have to be in honor. I have to do that which is honorable for me to be an honorable man, all right? And so if I'm going to say double honors to the apostles, then I need to show that, all right? And the way that we show that, because we're not going to be around the apostles, all right? You show it through your obedience. That's what the Lord said. What did the Lord say? Was that that's in Samuel. Let's look at Samuel. Wait a minute. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go here. Let's see. This thing, man. I know it's in Samuel, but I got to do all this. All right, come on. All right, let's see. All right, this will work. Well, this is it. So, I'm going to go here, start at 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. It says, and Samuel said, hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams, all right? Verse 23 says, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry, all right? Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he had also rejected thee from being king, all right? So disobedience can get you removed, all right, from your lot. And if you're removed from your lot, then actually it's not your lot. But, the Lord does, he requires obedience, okay? Because here we're in the time of grace. We cannot keep the law perfect, all right? And there's some things that the Lord asks of us, all right, that's not particularly in the law, all right? Like going out on the highways and byways, that is a commandment, but you won't find it in the old text. All right, you will find where it was told to specific prophets, but it's not in the law. But in these last days, all right, for all of those that are seeking salvation, all right, it applies to us to go out, as the Lord said, all right, and preach this gospel unto the nations for the purpose of recovering the Lord's elect, all right? Now, if I say I love the Lord and I honor the Lord, I'm going to do as he asked, all right? And be in obedience. You see what I'm saying? If it's for us in these last days to go out and preach the gospel, to wake up the hopeful elect, and you don't do that, you're as the one that wicked and unfaithful, slothful servant who took his talent and hid it in the sand. You can be keeping every law in the Torah, all right, but if you're not on the highways and byways, you're in disobedience, and the Lord look at you as a witch. All right? So now that's just to set that up. So now here we are, all right, in the preliminaries of Jacob's trouble. And I was looking at Apostle Tahar's video last year that, we are the top teachers at GMS concerning the scriptures, loosely paraphrasing. And he was speaking about a guy that was going off on the doctrine, and he's a novice. A novice. And I guarantee you go to his videos and he's giving double honors to the apostles, but then you buck up against what they taught. How is that giving your teachers double honors? And Jake feel like, well, I'm going to be a man. I'm going to say something. Because if I don't say something, then, they feel like, they not being a man or being manly or something. And the deal is, you didn't know how to be a man until you got under the apostles. Wasn't nobody teaching you how to be. Well, you can learn how to be a worldly man in the world. All right? And it's that worldly shit that causes you to buck up. It's a reason why King Solomon prayed the prayer that he prayed before he took the seat and his position as king. One of the things that he said in his prayer that always stuck with me, he said, I know not how to go out, nor do I know how to come in. And basically, King Solomon was saying, Lord, I need your help because I don't know nothing about this. And in his honesty, the Lord was pleased with King Solomon's prayer. And King Solomon didn't ask for riches or fame, notoriety, wealth. He asked for wisdom to rule over his people because he realized, me and myself, I don't have what it takes. All right? And, and I understand it's just not for everybody. All right. But if you're truly sincere, you're not going to question the apostles. Why? Because they perfect. They don't go off. That's not the reason. You don't question the apostles because they're exercised in this thing. 40 years to your little half a year, and you got the balls and the gall to challenge 40 years of experience? All right. So we end up here. And this is why I do lessons from time to time. I just did a lesson last week. All right. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. And I went into 2 Corinthians 13:5 about examining yourself. And just as I said in the lesson, Jake examined everybody else instead of examining their cause. All right? And let's look at what the scripture says. All right, this is Romans chapter 3, verse 3. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai without effect? Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai forbid. Yea, let Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai be true. All right? But every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings. All right? And mightest overcome when thou art judged. All right? So at the end of the day, we want to be justified, but you're not going to be justified. You think we're going to come to the last stretch of the race. We looking at the finish line. And the Lord will say, well, y'all almost there, but y'all need to change this up because all this time y'all been going off on this and going off on that. And you think that's how this works? And he's going to use a novice and an upstart to correct tried and seasoned men? Why do you think the scriptures say rebuke not an elder? Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be looking stupid. 9 times out of 10. Now this is 2 Thessalonians 2:7, which says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Right? The mystery of iniquity is in the world now, and it's talking about Esau, Edom. And he has all of these wayward doctrines, philosophies out here to get you simple jakes hooked to draw you out of this truth. All right? And if you allowed that to happen, then you wasn't of the elect. All right? The elect not going to fall for the okie doke. The elect got principles. You understand? A guideline that they go by. You know, and that's when it's good to have, you know, your discipline, all right, in this truth, which comes from establishing a firm foundation. But when you establish that firm foundation, you don't let yourself be moved from it. All right? But this is why Esau, he has all of these things out here to get your mind away from Yahweh while Yahweh Shai. All right? It says in verse 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, which he's being revealed in our time. All right? You have some people that knew about him back in the day, but as a whole, the Edomites were not known as the wicked. But now, it's not only us telling you that they're the wicked, they're showing you for all to see that, yes, we, the Edomites, are the wicked. They're letting it be shown. All right? So now that wickedness is being revealed, it says, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, by us going out on the highways and byways and prophesying against this man. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming when he comes back. Verse 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. All right, so this man, he's under the power and control of Satan. It says, verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. You understand? The Lord is going to send those that are in that rebellious mind and in that rebellious spirit. He's going to send you strong delusion so that you like hell bent on whatever you own, that this is the truth. That the apostles ain't right on this particular thing. So the Most High done gave you put a delusion in your mind, a strong delusion, and now you hell bent on going down that path, all right, because you didn't do what we was told to do, 2 Corinthians 10. Second Corinthians 10 and 4, it says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, to the pulling down of strongholds. All right? The rebellion. Wrong doctrines in your mind can become strongholds. And this is why you need a solid foundation. This is why this what the scriptures say, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby or hereby. You need the sincere milk if you're going to grow. All right? Now, if you're in this thing for, as the apostle said, like 6 months, you still on milk. You just need to shut the fuck up. And stay on the teat until you're of full age. You see, there's order in this. Structure. And that's one thing you know, a lot of us coming up, the only structure we had was in the public school, or they lock your ass up. They put you in the penitentiary or in the county for some time. Then you got some structure, all right? But outside of that, just in regular life, you was allowed to rebel. You was allowed to talk shit. You was allowed to just be a degenerate and a nigger. But you come into this truth, there's protocols, discipline, structure, and an order of operations that you need to learn if you're going to be a part of this. This ain't, the wild, wild west, go for your guns and do what the fuck you want to do. And it ain't no point in trying to convince the apostles, because, we right here. If you ain't in agreement, just go and excuse yourself and get the fuck out of our way. Because right about now, we steamrolling. We ain't got time to stop and examine some bullshit that some new nigga, that's what he was, a new nigga then brought up. We ain't got time to go through that shit. The apostles gave us a thorough, and the thorough don't even do it justice. That word don't, the apostles gave us 100% truth, so that we could be thorough, as the scriptures say, thoroughly furnished in our beliefs, so that as Ephesians, the 4th chapter says, we're not children tossed to and fro. So if you want to be a child that's tossed to and fro, because we don't do that here. You got to go do that on your own. All right? We don't do that to and fro bullshit. This ain't IUIC. We change doctrines with the wind. No, the apostles been on the same thing since I came in 07. Ain't nothing changed. Revelations came about. But how you know it ain't new? It just was a course correction because nothing else had to be changed. It blended right on in with the rest of the gospel. So in other words, like the apostles say, you see these guys that fall out because they don't see something, but then they end up, their whole doctrine is different. By the time they just fall completely off, they change up everything. Why? Because they're trying to make that one wrong thing fit. And then to try to get it to fit, you got to change up a whole lot of other shit. And then you change all that up. And now you got a table full of mess. Just as King David said, let their table be made a snare. Right. That's when you change one thing. Because the word is here a little and there a little. Apostle Tahar went into that. So when you change one here, you got to change one there. And you got to change this a little. Then you got to change that a little. Then next thing you know, you got a plate full of shit. And that's usually about the time they go on back into obscurity. Because they can't make none of it make sense. And I done seen guys that do this. And even with IUIC, I don't know how they allowed to still keep telling the lies that they tell. But Nate is slick. Nate is slick. But right, this is Ephesians. It says, this is Ephesians 4. I'm going to start at verse 13. It says, till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, or the Son of Yahweh, which is Yahweh Shai, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Mashiach. The apostle read this one. He read this verse. But I got to go to it because verse 14 says that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness whereby they lie in wait to deceive. All right? Because the Most High set them up to get you with strong delusion. Most High set up these false prophets. Whether Nate make it or not, it's not for me to say, but whether he makes it or not, that's up to the Most High. But the Most High is using him. All right? And what as the scriptures say, you can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. So if Nate is going off, he's going off to draw away the undesirables, the non-elect, just as Yahushua said, let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. Well, you got to have that in these days, because you're going to have half-ass Israelites. GMS is not for half-ass Israelites. You want to be a half-ass Israelite, go to IUIC, go to ISUPK. You can enjoy a little of being an Israelite, and you can still incorporate the world into your Israelite experience. All right? You can get married. You can do all the worldly shit, but with a Hebrew name and fringes on all your clothes. But other than that, you can do whatever else they doing in the world. Y'all can dance and have picnics and kumbayas until you get blue in the face. All right? And have a good old time at the Passover. watching Nate come in as King Nathaniel, all right, and all that good stuff. If you want to be 100% Israelite, well, men, get on your ass. Because we in this flesh. Ain't no need acting like you ain't never went off and you ain't never did nothing. We all do something. We all go off. We got men that's going to get on your ass in here. All right? And put you on that right track. That's what you need. Daily. All right? Keep them demons at bay. All right? Because you don't want to be the children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. All right? But back in Corinthians, right, it says what? That, oh Lord. Okay. Back in 2 Corinthians 2 and 10, 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations. Which I went into this, right? When that wayward doctrine come up, you're supposed to weigh it against the doctrine. All right? Filter it through the doctrine. That's why your foundation must be sure. All right? And if it doesn't measure up to that foundation or stand the test of, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, then you get rid of it. It's trash. All right? We have this word so that we could pull down strongholds, the strongholds of deception, of lies, of delusion. Verse 5 says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Mashiach. All right? So, in other words, when you get corrected, because you might not see something, the apostles, they're not tyrants. They'll show you and say, no, brother, this. I mean, that's how we are. We're going to show you the correct way. And then if you come back later with that shit, it's time to go. All right, because you are supposed to be casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against what? The knowledge of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. All right? Bucking up against the doctrine is coming against the knowledge of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. So you're supposed to say, wait a minute, the apostles, they didn't teach this. All right? But you go to them and you get corrected, you might not see it right away, but you might see it right away. But if you don't, you pray and fast. You don't just come to the conclusion of the apostles wrong. You pray on it and you fast and you ask the Lord to open your understanding so that you don't be a castaway. All right? Because we're supposed to be bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Mashiach. All right? Look, and having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience. See? And that's what the apostles did when they put your ass out. They revenged the disobedience because you was in disobedience. The Lord said he would rather obedience than sacrifice. So if you in disobedience, you got to go. It says, and having in readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. See, so the apostles were being in obedience when they put that guy out. And this is what the apostle was telling us, we ought to grow the fuck up and deal with scripture. And then they did some shit they shouldn't have did in casting lots. Because ain't nothing wrong with casting lots, but if you know you ain't going to go by it, don't do it. Because that is nothing to play with. You understand? You don't play with that. Because then that's tempting the Lord. Well, I'm going to cast this lot, and then it fall the way you don't want it to go, and then you're going to go to, you being disobedient. You asking the Lord for an answer, he give you the answer, and you say, we ain't going to do that. Jake be playing too goddamn much. So when our obedience is fulfilled, we're going to be ready to revenge all disobedience. All right, so you better not let us hear you teaching wrong. In Great Millstone, you in these other camps, we'll do videos, but if you in GMS, you finna get up out of here. We ain't got time for that shit. And we here in Jacob's trouble, and we supposed to be dealing with rebellious niggas don't want to accept the truth. Hell, we out here battling demons ourselves, trying to make sure brothers is straight, feeding the flock that want to eat. We got time to address this foolishness. You know, so I feel the apostles, you know. Niggas take things for granted, man. This truth, you won't take this truth for granted, because the Lord will get you up out of here quick. All right? And it's a lot of scriptures. I select you for being long-winded. But, you know, this is one of the things that it really, I don't know what Jake want. You know, do you want salvation? All you got to do is ride this thing out. Everything, the foundation been laid. Jake come in, want to rearrange shit and all this. All you got to do, build your foundation, prepare your house, your spiritual house, for the storm, and let's ride this thing out. And when I say ride it out, meaning let's preach this gospel, defend the gospel, all right? Give Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai his praise, his glory, his honor, all right? And give the apostles their double honors and wait on the Lord, as he said. Ain't nobody in these scriptures, I don't think nobody on earth in these scriptures more than apostles. And I'm talking about all of them. So they combing the scriptures daily. You think you're going to find something that they ain't found? You going to see something that they missed? For Apostle Tahar, 40 years? Jake out here bugging. Jake is out here seriously bugging, man. And I pray, it's like I said in the last lesson, man, we got to be praying that the Lord take not his Holy Spirit from us. All right? He's giving these guys for an example. All right? You're going to challenge the apostles, and here we are in Jacob's trouble. But anyway, that's it for this one. You know, stay tuned. Tomorrow we're going to have some more different topic. All right? But till then, stay up. Much love. Shalom.